preamble to our Constitution.
We, the people of the United States,
in order to form a more perfect union,
establish justice,
ensure domestic tranquility,
provide for the common defense,
promote the general welfare,
and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity.
Do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America.
That is what James Madison wrote in 1787 to confirm in law those rights that our countrymen had fought and died to achieve.
Our Constitution sought to fulfill the promise of the Declaration of Independence.
As Thomas Jefferson wrote,
we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Sounds simple, doesn't it? To achieve these principles, a war was fought, beginning in 1775 at Lexington and Concord, and ending 8 years later at Yorktown, Virginia.
8 years, and we had an independent country.
but how then to establish a civil society? How then to govern a new nation?
It was not automatic.
In the years following the Revolution, the 13 states were an unruly bunch.
We were called the United States of America, but we were operating on our own.
each printing our own money.
with no real authority to make treaties,
Or trade with other countries.
to pay war debts or establish national laws.
Or to levy federal taxes.
Wait a minute. No taxes. That's a good thing, right?
Young man, my good people, think about it. How does a country function without general revenue? Think about Interstate 95, from the far northern point in Maine to Miami, Florida. Think about the American Legion Bridge. Well, maybe don't think about that. But after the Revolution, how would we hold a new country together without a king, without martial law?
In those early days, without a central government, it appeared that the American experiment might fail.
We had articles of confederation, didn't we?
Ha! A very weak constitution.
As Henry Knox, a patriot from Massachusetts, wrote to Congress,
As the present constitution is so defective, why do not you, good men, call the people together and tell them so? That is, to have a convention of the states to form a better constitution.
well, who was the only man in the country who could draw together delegates from these diverse and independent states?
George Washington.
Indeed, he summoned men from the 13 states to meet in Philadelphia in the summer of 1787 to devise a constitution. The delegates debated and argued.
If the executive becomes too strong,
We may end up with a king again.
Yes, a tyrant.
no central government, too risky.
But the country won't last as it is.
Civil war.
Look! The New York Declaration is walking out!
Gentlemen, please.
It was James Madison.
I propose a plan based on the Virginia Constitution. I propose a separation of equal powers into an executive, legislative, and judicial branches with a system of checks and balances to put restraint on the executive.
Rhode Island worried about its representation.
We're so small, we'll have no voice at all.
But Robert Sherman of Connecticut proposed a compromise.
The Senate will have 2 delegates from each state, regardless of size. And the House of Representatives will elect theirs from population.
At last, in September 1787, James Madison wrote down the principles of our United States Constitution.
Establishing a government deriving its energy from the will of the people. Such is the government for which humanity has been longing since ancient times. A government of laws, not of men.
Mr. Madison, your Constitution sounds fine, but it's all about the rights of the government. Well, I'm from New Hampshire, and gentlemen, unless we have a Bill of Rights for individual citizens, we will not ratify your new Constitution.
So I devised 10 amendments setting out individual freedoms. Freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of the press. Individual freedoms of expression within the law are the cornerstone of American life.
And perhaps of the American dream. Thus, in 1788, Madison's Constitution became our governing document, and we became a true nation.
A nation of laws,
not of men.
And so today, as we celebrate our 240th birthday of our nation, it is well to recall our 3 charters of freedom.
The Declaration of Independence,
the Constitution,
and the Bill of Rights,
the guiding spirits of our country.
If the Declaration provides a vision for our country, a vision of independence, the Constitution provides an evolving mission, a living document.
to grapple with our diversity,
to struggle with our differences,
to protect our inalienable rights.
In his final years, James Madison wrote words that still challenge us. This is what he said.
I conclude that the people of this nation ought to be enlightened, to be awakened, to be united, that after establishing this government, they should look after it as well as obey it.
We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union,
will understand the principles of our government, will obey its laws, and will guard its freedoms.
This is the vision of America. We wish you blessings as its guardians.
Give them some more love. You know, really, that says it all, but I wanted to just bring some spiritual component to what they just shared. I just returned last night from 48 hours in New York City. Every now and then, for your minister to restore, she doesn't really take a nap, she goes somewhere. And so I went to New York and I was able to see a couple of Broadway plays, which feeds my soul. And one of the things that I did in my free time with my friend Lynn was to go to Central Park. And we just wanted to just explore Central Park, and on the periphery of the park, there was a vendor that was there that was a beautiful photographer. And I purchased this from him, and it's Lady Liberty. If you can see it, it's in black and white. And it just, I mean, really, I get a catch in my throat when I look at her and what she represents. And it just seems so perfect from what we just heard. Because that statue was given to us from France. And if you go, and it's quite a beautiful story. But the person that spearheaded that project was the head of an anti-slavery society in France. And so at the time, they were under an oppressive government of Napoleon III. And so they saw what was happening in our country. They saw that freedom and democracy were being embraced. And as we know, as we're living right now, that this whole idea called democracy is a process, isn't it? A process that's constantly unfolding. But they saw us grappling with it. And they thought, if we can create a beautiful gift to America of this beautiful statue, then maybe it will inspire our people. Maybe it will inspire our people to embrace this same idea of freedom and democracy. And so Lady Liberty, it was built as an inspiration from the Roman goddess Libertas. And so as I was looking at her and working with this, as I was taking the train back, I was just really looking at her going, wow, the metaphysical interpretation of the Statue of Liberty, I have never done that. But it felt appropriate to me because here she is. She's this beautiful statue of the divine feminine, which is calling us to love and nurture. There's great power in our power of love and nurturing. And she's holding in her left hand the tablet that in Roman numerals spells out the date of July 4th, 1776. And at the base of her, I never knew this, is a chain, is a broken chain. And so she's holding this light, and I thought, how beautiful. This divine feminine is holding this light above her head. You know, this light of enlightenment and illumination of this idea called freedom. She raised that light above her intellect. For us to be reminded to give us your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to be free, the wretched refuge of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, templess tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. And I think how beautiful it has been for people who have a dream to live freely, that have passed by her gate. And so I'm just reminded of our power that we have as free people. And I'm reminded of the inherent power we have as spiritual beings. And there's an article that I like to read, and I might have read it to you last year, but it's just one of my favorites on this holiday, from one of my favorite authors, Alan Cohen. And it just seemed appropriate to share it with you today, called The Declaration of Inner Interdependence, that I like to share this time of year. Today, we are preparing to celebrate the birth of our free nation. Yet even more important than national freedom is eternal freedom, internal freedom. We may live in a democratic society, but unless we are free of the inner bondage of fear and separation, we are not truly free. Today, break free of the power you have given others to make or break your life. While others may invite, suggest, guide, or influence you, ultimately, you alone must live with the choices you make. And so you must choose in accordance with your heart's wisdom. If you have given any person power over your life, take back that power now. Today, declare a revolution of consciousness, oust the old dictators of self-doubt, attack thoughts, jealousy, and the replaying of old negative patterns of thought and feeling, and replace them with the belief in yourself and others. Trust in your wisdom, positive visualization and speech, and the willingness to be and express your true magnificence. Today, move beyond human politics and claim the oneness you are, that we are. You are infinite wholeness, life, wisdom, and power. Your economy is based on love. The more love you give, the more you will experience. Today, let the world know that you are a free and powerful nation comprised of all the experiences and wisdom you have gleaned and are gleaning over your lifetime. Raise the lamp of liberty high, that all may see and know that you are a stand for oneness, for love, and for freedom. So would you just breathe into those words with me? That we raise the lamp of our consciousness as we know and as we stand in oneness. And folks, the freedom that we experience in this nation right now, there are people all over the world that are giving their lives for that freedom. And so let us claim it today through the conscious choices that we make to be love, to see our brothers and sisters as ourselves, to be kind, to be compassionate, to give of our resources so that others might know the freedom that we know. Our greatest freedom as spiritual beings is our ability to take spiritual dominion over our thinking and to make conscious choices each moment of our lives. So today, and this week, let us celebrate the inherent freedom that we are as spiritual beings to make conscious choices one moment at a time to live truly from our freedom. Are you with me? So let's give Tot some more love. Thank you. And thank you to Suzanne Yuskew, who wrote that beautiful piece. She wrote that. Thank you, Suzanne. And so let us affirm together, I am free to make conscious life choices. I celebrate that freedom today, and so it is.